to our viewers in Nigeria and across Africa. Welcome to the conversation on TOS Television Network, your digital first Pan-African network. We're reaching you from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. And of course, my name is Adesuwa Osui.
And my name is Merciful Ajinamo. Good morning and happy Children's Day.
Happy Children's Day.
It's totally a very important day.
It's May 27th. I feel like a child today.
We're all children.
So my inner
today.
child is going to come to play today. I mean,
no, it's a very important day on all fronts. You know, it's a very special day, as a matter of fact. We keep saying the world is in the children's hand. You know, whatever is happening now, if we want to better it, is the children. We the children.
I like how you put it. The children.
How are you doing today, Swan?
I'm very well. It's good to have you on the show.
Here. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay, so we bring you the quote of the day.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact for Panadol.
Welcome back. Now let's delve into stories from development across Africa, starting from Mali, where Mali's interim president Bando and Prime Minister Mokhtar Ouane have resigned. An aide to the vice president said this comes 2 days after the duo were arrested by the military. Colonel Assimi Goïta, Mali's interim vice president, on Tuesday revealed that he seized power based on the violation of the transitional charter by failing to consult him about the formation of a new government. He, however, promised the country's election will be held next year as planned. And
talking Tigray about farming matters, at a briefing, members of the United Nations Security Council and other member states were warned that urgent measures are necessary to avoid famine in Ethiopia's embattled region of Tigray. Mark Lowcock, UN Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator, in his 2.5-page note said at least 20% of the populations in the area face emergency food insecurity. Destruction and violence against civilians continue even now across Tigray, he added.
Yes, and moving away from Tigray in Ethiopia, in response to the new political crisis in Mali, the Economic Community of West African States, that's ECOWAS, on Tuesday, sent a delegation led by former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan to Bamako for mediation. The mediators have met with the country's senior military figures that carried out a second coup in less than a year. And that's it for development across Africa. It's about that time where we bring you COVID-19 updates from across Africa, after which we'll be bringing you, newspaper headlines for this morning.
Welcome back to The Conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network. Don't forget, as I always say, you can be a part of our social media community and you can follow us across all our social media platforms, that is Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also you can watch live stream our programs on our website www.tostvnetwork.com. And if you have not subscribed on our YouTube page, please do so you do not miss out on all our amazing content we have planned for you. And it's The Conversation. And this segment is the newspaper headline, where we'll bring you some headlines across the national dailies for this morning. It's the May 27th edition, and we begin with Blueprint. From the very top, NGF legislator judiciary autonomy doesn't require Executive Order 10. And we have two riders on that. Says governors committed to financial autonomy and insist on disbanding presidential implementation committee. I'm just very quickly, the very gaping headline there, that's the banner, says governors speak at zonal hearing on constitution review. And the big one there is restructuring won't address our problems as a nation, coming from the Kaduna State Governor El Rufai. There are a couple of other headlines there. You can just grab that, get yourself a copy of the blueprint and get all the details on it.
And I'll be bringing you the Daily Trust newspaper, starting from, the banner headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. 154 feared dead in Kebbi boat mishap. 4 riders under that headline. The first one, 180 on board. Local divers on rescue mission. Accident caused by overloading. That's coming from NIWA. It's devastating. That's coming from the President of Nigeria, Buhari. And then beside the picture of the day, 100 students collapsed after inhaling fumigation chemicals in Ekiti. Don't legalize cannabis. NDLEA cautions lawmakers. Children's Day. Many questions, few answers on children's rights. There are a couple of other headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper. Just get yourself a copy so you're fully abreast with it.
Moving on to the Daily Times newspaper, a very colorful image of tomatoes right there, and on top of it, the banner headline, Northern Kaduna, one state split. All of that can be found on page 2 of the Daily Times, and just underneath the picture of the day there, we see 3 headlines. The last talking about Ibori cash, and that's Delta government hasn't received £4.2 million returned from UK, and that we can get that on page 3 of the Daily Times newspaper.
And the last daily we're going to be looking at this morning is the Business Day newspaper, where you have the Business Day market monitor at the top of the Business Day. And then the banner headline on the newspaper this morning says Nigeria's trade sector seen exiting 2 years of negative growth. Beside that, tax cuts, low prices, top benefits of special airport zones. And then inside the Business Day newspaper, special report on Akwa Ibom agriculture sector and investors' appetite for fixed income assets raises the beer.
All right, that's the much you can take on the newspaper headline segment of the conversation. We'll go on a break now, and when we return, we'll be taking you through the big stories of the day. Do stay, don't go anywhere.
Always remember, this man I have been creative design. We really like it.
You deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. It a form say you sabi. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass me your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
You're welcome back to the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, that is TOS Television Network. It's the big story. And again, from the beginning, we said Happy Children's Day. So we're focusing on Children's Day, on the nation's out-of-school children and other education barriers, today being Children's Day. The big story looks at efforts put in place by the government and other stakeholders to remedy the nation's explosive figure of children currently out of school. And to dissect this, on the show we have Buki Williams, the Executive Director Education as a Vaccine and Malala Fund Education Champion. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you.
All right. Good, good. First off on our list, what are the current figures of out-of-school children in Nigeria as the government has refuted claims by UNICEF that it has reached 13 million? Do you have an idea of what is the current figure?
So the current figures that are being quoted are about 10.1 million.
Okay.
We, of course, don't know the impact of COVID on that, and there is some concern that the number might have gone up because of the impact of COVID, but at last count, the last data that we had was about 10.1 million.
Okay. So let's look at, the last few years. How would you rate, government's effort to get children out of streets and, get them back into classrooms?
Sorry, I missed the question. There was an echo.
Okay.
Could you just repeat that?
Yes, I will. So I was asking, looking back, to the last few years, say in the last 5 years in Nigeria, how would you rate the Nigerian government's efforts to get, children out of the street and get them, back into the classrooms?
There has been some effort. I would say, for those of us who work in, civil society and believe in the right to education, we definitely want to hold the government to a higher standard. But we have seen some efforts on behalf of the government. I mean, in the past 15 years, one of the things we've seen is the Universal Basic Education Act, which is about free basic education for every child. For most of us, we want to see it up until secondary education, right? Not just free basic education. We've seen some investment, but not as much. But the government, through the Universal Basic Education Act, has contributed some funds that could serve as catalytic funding to encourage states, to invest in education. And the truth is, we cannot only hold the national government accountable because state governments also have a critical role to play in education. They have a lot of control over education and how the education sector is run within their states. So we've seen states like Kaduna State, who have basically created a policy to be able to provide secondary education for free. They started for girls, and now it's for all children. And Yobe State and a few other states as well. But the truth of the matter is that it's not enough. When we have 10.1 million, there needs to be a lot more coordination, there needs to be a lot more investment, and there needs to be a lot more commitment and political will around the issue of education. And we need to see a lot more concern in supporting parents to be able to ensure that their children go to school. We need to see it actually be free, because when you talk to a lot of teachers, you're hearing that they're not getting enough supply. Some of them have to buy chalk on their own. And so these kind of things. So we actually do need to see a lot more commitment and a lot more investment. I think we take it for granted the role of education in protecting children. We take for granted the role of education in our economy and even in the future of Nigeria. So I think it's quite critical. So they're doing something, because I don't want to say they're not doing anything, but it's not enough. That's the truth.
So now let's talk about the out-of-school children. There's always a statistics, to show that the number of children that are out of school. Could you highlight some dangers that they may face and how we can manage them?
Yeah, you know what? The truth of the matter, I think it's quite important to also highlight some issues around it. When you look at out of school, according to some UNESCO data, about 40% of primary age children who are out of school are girls, and about 28.9% are boys. So you're seeing the issue of gender inequality play out, right? In this kind of scenario in which we're saying that, it's more important to educate boys versus educating girls. And that means we're leaving our girls behind, and that we're investing a lot more in boys. And we know the impact of not educating girls. If you look at some of the research and some of the statistics, if you are not educating girls, you are, letting them fall vulnerable to early and forced marriage, to different forms of gender-based violence. You also know that by the time they do start giving birth, their children are likely to die before the age of 5 because they don't have enough of the support or the knowledge to be able to care for their children on their own. And so you're seeing these issues, and it has ramifications for our population, it has ramifications for our children as well. And then for boys who also don't get a chance to go to school, what future are we giving them in to be able to participate in their lives, to be able to make decisions about their lives, to be able to learn basic literacy, to be able to read and write? I think we take it for granted what basic literacy provides and the independence it provides, not just financially, but also just emotionally as well, in being able to make decisions about, what kind of work you want to do, to be able to dream, to be able to contribute to your community, to your family. and all of those really critical areas. So I think the issue of out-of-school children, when we look at such a large number, and we have one of the largest in sub-Saharan Africa, it really does bring to bear to say that if 60% of Nigeria's population is under the age of 30, and most of them are out of school, what does that say for our development and our growth as a country?
Okay. Lastly, before we let you go, I just want to quickly add this. So we do know the current state of insecurity in the country kind of, contributes largely to the number of out-of-school children that we have right now. So do you think, are you of the opinion, in 1 minute, that maybe the Nigerian government should start looking away from, the conventional method of teaching and just looking at other methods, of having children educated? Are you also of that opinion?
And for me, the thing about it is, education is not stagnant, right? We do need to review our curriculum to make sure we're providing children with the information that they need. But you mentioned the issue of safety. And I think we actually right now, we need to focus on the basics. Do we have a curriculum that provides them with the information for them to be able to have basic literacy and for them to be able to understand the world around them and be able to contribute? Are we ensuring that they're safe in their schools? So we have the Safe Schools Declaration. Are we implementing it? Are we paying for our teachers the right amount of money they need to be able to focus on teaching and be able to teach properly and appropriately? So for me, I'm saying that, yes, we can definitely start thinking about including technology. Those are all really important, but those will not work. There's no silver bullet. You have to start with the basics.
All right.
So if you don't get the basics right and you start to bring in all this, new and bells and whistles, you're just basically putting it on a foundation that is not solid. So we need to get the basics right for most of Nigerian children before we start thinking about even just, bringing in new things. Not to say we shouldn't, but let's start with the basics.
All right. Again, a big thank you, Buki, for coming on the show this morning. It's been an insightful one.
Thank you so much for having me.
Happy Children's Day again, Buki.
Yeah, same to you, guys. The children in us. No problem.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do have a wonderful day. All right?
You too. All right. Bye.
All right. I think that's much you can take on Children's Day. We'll just give a very short break and come back and continue with the conversation. We have another big story. Do stay, don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying tuned to the conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, 2S Television. And of course, it's the big story. But before we continue, please do not forget you can always be a part of our social media community across all our social media platforms. That is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at TOS TV Network. And you can also live stream our program live on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. And if you've not subscribed to our YouTube platform, please do so you do not miss out on all our amazing content we have for you. It's the second big story segment, and we'll be discussing Nigerians and redefining patriotism in this country. And to discuss this is Bisayo Akinadejo. That's the founder of Project One. You're welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here today.
How you doing?
I'm good.
All right. Very quickly, I've been meaning to ask this question. Why do we see a constant trend of Nigerians feeling reluctant to serve, to be patriotic?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I would say that quite a number of Nigerians, in the real sense of it, actually have that sense of attachment to Nigeria. However, events, happenings, circumstances, reality on ground have pushed quite a number of people to that point where they feel, okay, where's the road, where's the way forward for me in Nigeria? So if you sense some restriction or some backward kind of reaction from Nigerians when it comes to Nigeria, it's actually based on the things that have been happening all around. But patriotism is way beyond how you feel about a particular situation, particular government in place at a particular time. It's all about your nationality and it's all about yourself. So patriotism actually goes beyond how people currently feel about their country.
Okay, talking about how people currently feel about Nigeria, because I do know that a lot of Nigerians are feeling very low at this point. Unpatriotic, if you could say. So what would you say is responsible for that? Who should we hold responsible? The government or the citizens? What's responsible for that?
Thank you also for that question. How to go by saying that, and I've always shared this with a lot of people, Nigeria is a country that has a lot of youth, and a lot of people in my age category would go by the saying that they promised us were the future leaders. And then if you were born in the 80s, the current Nigerian president was the head of state, and you're wondering when is the opportunity going to come to lead this country. You have new ideas, young people are vibrant, you want to be in the space of things, and you're not seeing that reality. You tend to feel, oh, probably this nation is for some particular set of people, which is not true. And I think that has contributed in a lot of ways to the feeling that we have on the street out there. Nevertheless, Nigeria is for us and is for every one of us. And no matter what is currently going on that you're not okay with, as a patriotic citizen, you have a role to play in this nation. So if things are not the way it should be, the leaders actually came from the followers. So it's all about Nigerians. And we're talking about citizens of Nigeria. It includes even those in power and those who are following those in power. So it's an all-encompassing
I like how she didn't say who was responsible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, talking about responsibility, I do know that there are civil societies, the organizations who are, always trying to make sure they are sensitizing Nigerians to look, this is our country and we must push forward. So what are those ways civil society organizations like yourself are doing to change this narrative?
Thank you. I would say that one of the things I found about patriotism is it starts from when you were young. For someone like me who proclaim I'm a Nigerian, I'm proud to be a Nigerian, even went to the extent of starting an organization that promotes Nigeria and citizenship appreciation. What I have found that resulted to where I am today started from right back when I was still in my primary school. That sense of Nigeria, the green, white, green color, the love for nation. And it goes as far as the cradle. And I'll give you an example of what we are doing, aside every other civil organization that might be doing something in Nigeria. I had an experience some years back, and I noticed that quite a number of American citizens who were born in the general hospitals, and if you see some pictures on social media, you probably know a child that is not born in Nigeria or born in America by the blanket, the color of blanket that is used to wrap the baby. Now, this is like a culture in America. When a child is born in the general hospital, and this is an experience I also said I had, where the baby is wrapped in the American color, right from the wardrobe. And I told someone, I said, there's no way this child will grow and will not feel proud, because you're landing into the country, you're welcome, they're identifying with you, even with that color. So you grow up thinking, oh God bless America. The system seems to work, you have things in place. And that is one of the things we've tried to do in Project One. We started what we called Clothing the Babies campaign. And that's just to bring back that sense of patriotism, that sense of belonging to every Nigerian child. So we go to the wardrooms, we get them Nigerian branded clothes free of charge, the caps, the meetings, the stockings, all branded Nigeria, and a small playbook for the child. So as the child is growing up, he's seeing something around Nigeria around it, and it's actually very important. He grows up seeing the symbols, he grows up knowing that someone somewhere cares about it. And that's why, without necessarily putting the blame on leadership, where leadership also comes into play, because you all definitely have to let the people that you are leading know that you are welcome in their own country. This is, I tell Nigerians, if you ever go anywhere, if you take a secondary citizenship, you're still going to be a second-class citizen.
Exactly.
This is the only place that is home for us. This is the place where we're first-class citizen, and we have to take up that responsibility without waiting for anybody to show us the way. We have to show ourselves the way. If you have not found leadership higher, then we have to bring it out within ourselves.
Wow.
Okay, last one. This was a random one. I think it wasn't part of what I was going to ask you, but I do know that there's been a call for, scrapping the NYSC program, and I do know the NYSC program was one, supposed to promote patriotism and oneness, amongst Nigerians. What's your take on that? Do you think it should be scrapped, or should it stay?
I have to be careful on that. Personally, considering the security situation in Nigeria, it's actually, to any average man on the street who do not know where he or she is going to, or what's happening in the core north, or even if you're a northerner coming to the southeast or southwest, it might actually bring more fear into your mind if you're posted to such a region, compared to the early 80s, 70s, and the 90s when this program really worked for us. If I would say, if I have a say, which is going to be my personal opinion, not that of Project One, I would say that it can be suspended until a whole lot of things are put in place to ensure that security of life, because it's important. Nobody wants to die, really. I salute those who die in service, especially those who carry arms on behalf of Nigeria, defending its integrity. I always say, I want to live for Nigeria. I don't want us to waste our lives during meaningless protests or being unnecessarily placed in a place of danger. But because if you leave, then it's actually for the good of the country. They will say individual prosperity is national prosperity. The longer you live, the better for Nigeria. The more innovation you can make. We don't want our youths to be wasted in any part of the country. And it's not particular to particulars, especially with what is going on, the heat that is going on. It's not just in one sect. You go to the north as an Easterner, or even as a Yoruba person, you might be afraid. If you also go to the east, as a northerner, you should or might be afraid. Now, one other thing I'll just put is, I've had the privilege of being to Core North in the last 6 months after restriction on movement was lifted. And it's not totally as bad as sometimes we find in the media. I've been to Jos, I've been to Maiduguri, and it's, you probably just feel that once you enter into the state, your life is at risk. Spend about 4 or 5 days in each of the states on some of our programs and return safely to Abuja here. That doesn't mean that will be the case for everybody. The roads are not safe. And I went by road as well to these states. That was the beginning of one of the programs we've been trying to do called the Citizen Show. And I just mentioned it. One of the things we're trying to do is, a lot of Nigerians do not know Nigeria. And that's probably one of the things that is causing that division. Talking about NYSC, that was one of the things the gap they were trying to bridge. I can talk about Yobe. Have I ever been to Yobe? I can talk about Sokoto. Have I ever been to Sokoto? If I do not get there, what I would be feeding on is what anybody tell me about Sokoto. And I'll give you a live example. In Abuja recently, we had shite clash and all that. And I have people calling me from Lagos, I heard the whole of Abuja is on fire. And I said, no, I'm in my room. It's happening around a particular place, and that is what happens in Nigeria. There are some sectors that are red zone actually, but that doesn't mean that everybody in that state or every Nigerian in that state is biased. Take for example, when you talk about Fulani, it doesn't mean that every Fulani is out there with a dagger to kill you and all that. And there are herdsmen as well that do not have intention of harming you and all that. So it's all encompassing. NYSC, good idea, great concept. It should be continued and not be totally scrapped. At the same time, security of lives and measures must be put in place to ensure that we do not waste the lives of our Nigerian youth or upcoming prospects for this nation. Just waste on the platter of not doing your due diligence. For those who are recently coming from the camp, they can tell about the experience. Sometimes you don't know where you're going, you don't know the community, you don't even have the fund to support you from home. When we talk about the economy, security, economy, all those things are interrelated. So Nigeria as a country must work for us to continue on that path that we've always wanted to be.
All right, thank you so much. Nigeria as a country must work. Thank you, Bisawi, for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you so much.
Happy Children's Day again.
Happy Children's Day. And you're going to be having a march on Saturday, right?
Yes, and that's true. For us and Project One, considering what is currently going on as well, we've put up a conference. It's an annual conference. It holds every year. We've been holding it in Abuja for the last 5 years. Currently, we have Adamawa had their own movement yesterday. It's a walk of hope. We call it the walk of hope. And that's hoping against all hope. We know we have people who are clamoring for Biafra, the Oduduwas, and all that. But we are Nigerians. I believe I'm a Nigerian. I'm proud to be who I am, proud to be from Nigeria. And I believe that if all hands get on deck, this nation will work. So we're having people all around at the Millennium Park, starting by 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. Take a walk through the Millennium Park down to the Secretariat with one song in mind: Nigeria is ours and Nigeria will work.
Wow, Nigeria is ours and Nigeria will work. Thank you again. It's been an amazing one.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys for joining us on the show this morning. As Merciful always say, do not forget you can be a part of the TOS community. Follow us across all social media platforms of TOS TV Network. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube so you're not left out of amazing content. You can also stream our programs on www.tostvnetwork.com. Thank you again. My name is Adesuwa. Osuyi.
And my name is Merciful Arjinamo. Again, happy Children's Day. Just make yourself happy today. Be a child. Just be a child. And have an amazing day ahead. Bye for now.